Welcome, everybody. We're here live tonight. It is October 21st, 2025. Of course, my name is Ra Castaldo. This is the Space Water Podcast, where we dive into the sound of the light. We have a special guest tonight. His name is Fritz Zimmerman. Fritz is an independent researcher, and he's written a few books that you guys got to check out. There's a few links we'll have for you. Of course, he has his Nephilim Chronicles that he'll mention. And we're going to be getting deep tonight, everybody. You guys have been following my work. You guys know that I've been doing shows with Gary Wayne for over a decade about giants and about biblical prophecy. So this is going to line up with a lot of that work tonight, everybody. So welcome everybody joining in the chat room tonight. Once again, his name is Fritz Zimmerman, and you guys can check out his Nephilim Chronicles wherever you buy books. Fritz, I really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight and
Yeah, good to be
our
with you.
chat room. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, before we even dive into the more deeper part of this conversation, how did you come about getting into the giants and some of the stories that go along with these mounds and the ancient writings?
Well, like most things that last 30 years, it started out by chance. I had a production company and I was doing videos, and my partner left, and I was looking for a topic to do around here locally. And then I started reading about burial
And
mounds
the ancient writings.
and um, ancient burial mounds around Northeast Indiana, which none that I had been documented, but there were so many around here. Noble County, like 35, DeKalb County, like 25, and thought that we could find some of those. What so happens that here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we have the largest genealogical library in the country. What that means is that I have county histories, no matter where you live. Well, here around Northeast Indiana, of course, that's where we have those, but every county of every state, I mean, are all in this library.
I'm in the Hudson
But,
Valley in New York.
and pardon me,
Hudson Valley, New York.
yeah, that would be there. I mean, every county in New York State at some time, generally around the turn of the century, they had a county history done. And sometimes there'll be one like in 1880, 1900, 1920, there might be three. And most of those talked about antiquities is generally the topic it would be under. And that's where they would talk about burial mounds in the county, how they talk about what they found. And then many times when they would find these large, giant skeletons. These were documented in a book, a county history. This was generally for the upper crust of the county. It was big. It was an expensive book. It was generally like 300 pages, about 14 inches in width by like 18 inches. So they were big books. So it wasn't a place where you have maybe a newspaper that you might have a little uh, leeway. These were the county history. So here in Northeast Indiana, just in my research, I kept coming across large skeletons. So I was able to expand all of Indiana, all of Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, New York. I mean, it wasn't a state that I wasn't through their
Yeah.
archives looking for skeletons. And at the end, I had the Nephilim Chronicles Fallen Angels, which was not just to have a list, because there's so many books out there on giants, whether it be Dewhorse, Vieira, uh, who else has got one?
Oh
But
yeah,
they're
I
just,
know Jim. I know
yeah,
Jim. Yeah.
it's a list of giant skeletons. That's it. So what I differentiate from them is that, for instance, the different kinds of skulls, like many of the skulls were described as having a sloping forehead, bulging brow ridge, massive jaws, skulls that would be more akin to what you would think a Neanderthal skull would be like. And so you have that difference, which is not leaning that this is anything indigenous. This was somebody that came here. And the other thing was in the earthworks in the Ohio Valley, the geometric earthworks, that they had a measure in them that was constant, that the hinges or the sun temples would be 666 or 660 feet in circumference, that the squares would be 1080 feet, which just so happens to be the ancient Babylonian gematria for 666, meaning the sun, and 1080 for the moon or lunar. And in sacred geometry, the circle is the sun and the square is the earth or lunar mother. So there were all these coincidences that were any coincident at all when you would have one earthwork that's 666 and one is 555 or 111, or that you would have consistently the diameters of things being 210, and 210 times pi is 660. So there
Is
was
this
no
like the
way that,
Newark Earthworks or something like that?
well, the Newark earthworks is unique in that um, you have a system of circles and squares. And the circles were made, for instance, like the Great Hinge at Newark, which I discovered aligns to the May 1st Beltane sunrise. And we have
Well,
footage of that.
let's rewind for a second, Fritz, for just for some of the listeners that might not understand what we're talking about. We're literally talking about thousands of years old megalithic structures and stone circles that have archaeoastronomy alignments on certain times of the year, like the solstices and equinoxes, and they're doing literally star magic rituals to bring manifestations into this physical world by communicating with the light, literally.
Exactly.
You
Now,
know,
because, all right, Newark, Ohio, and I would suggest anyone just take a look at the map and you're going to see a circle and an octagon, and you're going to see a circle, and opposite that is a square. Now, to give you an idea of size, I don't know if you think of something in someone's lawn. The circle and the octagon, there's a regulation golf course inside of it. All 18 holes are inside of the earthwork, none outside. They're all within the earthwork. Give you an idea of the size.
is this the map?
Um, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. On the very top, the circle and that octagon, if you place a square within the octagon, the area will equal to the lower to the right. That's the great hinge. The areas of those will be the same. And if you take the circle and the opposite square on the lower center and then directly across is a square, the circumference of that circle is 3,700 foot. That's the circumference of going around it.
Mod on. Wow. Really?
Yeah, the
Wow.
opposite that square, each of the sides is 925 feet. Is this right? Yeah,
Wow, that's massive.
925. But the sum total of the sides of the square equal the circumference of the circle. So the circle represents the spiritual and the square represents the material. On
Bringing the sky
October,
to the earth.
yes, on
Yeah.
October 31st, if you're standing in the middle of that circle, there's a bird effigy. You can see a little like squibble in the middle of the lower right, the
That's
hinge.
like on key, bringing this the heavens to the earth, earth and that's incredible. Wow.
So on October 31st, on Halloween,
Wow, it's
Salmon
coming
was
up.
you have Beltane, and then that's May 1st, but the
Perfect
solar
timing for having you on. Wow.
is October 31st. So if you're standing in the middle of that circle, the sun will align with the gateway. The-
That's
yeah.
incredible.
So standing there, you'll see the alignment. And taking photograph that I photographed it last year. It's a perfect alignment, October 31st. So see, the Celts learned from the Amorites, the Babylonian Amorites, the Celtic religion, the Druid religion. So it precedes them, but that Salmon, that alignment, which is what our Halloween is, where the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. Well, that this day coming up is ancient. It's 2,500 years old,
Yeah. Wow.
3,000 years old.
What do they say? They say something about a Hopewell people, right? Or an Adena people related to these.
Right. That's just that's academic nonsense.
Yeah.
So there's two different groups in there. There was the Hopewell, who were the Dakota Sioux, and then you had people who came over here. They had originated. They were the Amorite giants in the Bible. They're the accounted giants in the Bible, but they're real people. They controlled
Yeah.
Babylon from 2000 BC to 1600 BC, and they were known for advanced mathematics. They say that their advanced trig was even more advanced than ours because they were using a base 12 numerical system, which still comes down to us today. Our foot, a 12-inch foot, they used the 12 months of the calendar. That is from them. You look at a clock, you see 12. Whenever you see 12, that probably has its roots in ancient Babylon with the Amorites, the accounted giant. So they are the ones that are kind of the brains with the sacred geometry that they're bringing over from Babylon, the circle and the square, how those intermingle both not only geometrically but mathematically, which I've just talked about a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, what about like some of the other tribes? Because I know there were giants in the Anakim, the Amalekites, the Rephaim, and the Phoenicians were seafaring people. Maybe the Phoenicians could have even made it over.
Well, all of those people are kind of under the umbrella of
The
the
Amorites.
Amorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was different tribal names, but the Amorites are the ones that we can actually document, not only in Babylon, but the Egyptians talk about them as well. And so they're the established people, and we know by their tablets of their advanced mathematics. They have their tablets that they have in enough numbers that we know, they're mathematical of, the advanced mathematics of the trig and, square roots. And they had, had the Pythagorean triangles, which also plays out in many of the earthworks in the Ohio Valley as well, which is their use of Pythagorean triangles to build some of the geometric
Oh
earthworks.
yeah. I think it's actually a lot of it's connected to the ancient Sanskrit tribes of the Asura and Deva tribes. A lot of them are connected to, what reemerged as the Amorites and the Persians and the Assyrians and all those tribes.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, it's incredible. Let me take this off too. If you had any slides or maps or anything you wanted to share, I can make it where you could share stuff as well. So it's incredible. That's why I wanted to have you on because I heard that you talk about these tribes. I've been researching and experiencing various things at megalithic sites. I'm 47 years old now, and I've been working and going to megalithic sites since the 1980s. So I've had experiences at them as well, and I've been working pretty much translating ancient writings and relating some of the advanced sciences that's being talked about in a spiritual way. Because I think in ancient times, Fritz, they sort of, they merged spirituality and science together. It was fused together,
Yes.
and we sort of lost that. So I think these structures are a good example of how they're taking harmonics, sound, frequency, and the light of the sun and harnessing it for powers and energies to manifest things in this physical dimension.
Right. With the, not only the alignments to the equinoxes, May 1 and October 31, which just that right there, it shows you where the roots of this is. Um, so you had the alignments, you had the geometric shape, and then you had the measure of squares and circles. And those were going to also add to the layers of exactly what these were and trying to extract as much power out of these earthworks as they possibly could.
Have you ever hold on, let me share this with you. Have you ever seen this is a spot that I've been going to since the 1980s. It's about 30 miles from my house or a little less. It's in North Salem, New York. That's me standing next to it right there. It's about 60 to 90 tons of red granite. that's not from anywhere around this area. So at first they were calling it a glacial erratic, and it's on top of a magnetic anomaly. And I don't know if you can see from the beginning up, but on this side of it, it looks like the side profile of Sekhmet, or a lion-faced being. Here's the eye, the nose, the mouth, the jawline, and the ear, and even the headdress. I don't know if you could see, but I'll go down to here's the side
Oh yeah.
profile
All right.
next
Yeah,
to
I saw.
Sekhmet. And on winter solstice morning, they featured this on Ancient Aliens like 10 years after I did a documentary, like a long time after I was doing that. And I just did another documentary about it recently. So on winter solstice morning, the sun sits right on top of the head like this on sunrise, winter solstice morning. The sun sits right on top of the head, just like in these pictures here with Sekhmet. And I could show you different times of the year that I go there. And it seems that there was a ritual bowl. There's a ritual bowl underneath right there that you can charge things on. And it's like at certain times of the year, the light, it brings a certain energy at that spot, and it's like a surge of electrons. And you can see right at sunset, at twilight, plasma balls, different types of balls of light will manifest. And let me show you real quick before I give it back to you. There's their magnetic anomaly that they did at the site. There's a minus 400 gamma magnetic anomaly that comes out from beneath the rock. And you can see here at twilight, those are the orbs that form at the rock. It's like an electron surge at dawn and at dusk. And it's pretty crazy. And then I'll show you just how the sun sits real quick. I think I have, yeah, see, that's on winter solstice. The sun goes right, starts here at sunrise, and it goes right on top the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it starts. Yeah. See, this is winter solstice, just like Sekhmet. Winter solstice aligned. It starts right down here underneath the stone, and it's like it's 60 tons of red granite. And when you got red granite, it's got a high quantities of quartz crystal in it. It's got high quantities of magnetite, and when you're lifting it off the ground like that, it's like my friend Glenn Kreisberg mentions, it's like pulling a guitar string off a fretboard where it's it's like resonating and amplifying all the cosmic rays that it's harnessing from the sun, like literally from the light that's coming in at certain times of the year. So it's really incredible. It's got its own magnetic anomalies at the site, and this is all over. This is all over the world. It's not just here. This is all
Well,
over.
I was with L.A. Marzulli, and we were shooting on the trail of the Nephilim, and we were at America's Stonehenge. And prior to going, I just researched everything out there that
Mystery
was
Hill.
megalithic. Some I threw away, some like that stone there, no real answer for it. There was some sites that I thought were boulder erratics from glaciers, but there were others, I think like this one here, it's like, man, I don't think you can toss this out, you know?
Yeah. Well, they
Uh,
recognize it as a dolmen now, but the fact that it's on a magnetic anomaly, and one side of it looks like just like a regular tabletop, and then the other side that faces off the cliff is that it looks almost like an effigy, like it was carved to me. But who knows?
so the importance of those megalithic works like America's Stonehenge, some things like this is we go from a transition of the megalithic era that's talked about a lot in the Bible of standing stones, pillars of stones. Build me an altar of stone, let no craftsman touch it lest ye ruin it.
Huh.
This is the megalithic era, but then that's the beginning of the giants coming over here. So all of these early America's Stonehenge, some of the dolmens, Menders, Standing Stones, some of all that you're going to find in the Northeast are the precursor of what's going to end up in the Ohio Valley because it's like you have Stonehenge. There's the stones in the middle, and then on the outside of that is a circular earthwork with an interior ditch, an outer wall, and a gateway that's aligned to summer solstice sunrise, I believe. Um, Could be sunset.
Yeah.
So it's the hinge.
I think Newgrange is
And
like
in
that
that
too.
case, there's stones in the middle of it. But in the Ohio Valley, like there at Newark, see that as a hinge. Circular earthwork, interior ditch, outer wall, aligned to May 1, October 30. So the hinge later would not have the stones in it anymore. A lot of times there would be a burial mound. So this occurs in England and it occurs here as well. Because what's in England is the same as over here. The same people in England that built Stonehenge that was in North America. So the hinges is what we have, but without the stones in them. But we do have the hinges all throughout the Ohio Valley, Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky has a hinge. But the hinge is just minus the stones because it's about 1,000 years afterwards. Like I said, even in England, they start not putting stones in the hinges. They replace those with burial mounds.
Yeah. It's unfortunate how much they dismantled so many of the sites and so many things. It's incredible. They use it probably in the middle of you know, buildings and houses and foundations and all types of things.
Oh, yeah, they're still doing it.
Yeah,
They're still
it's
destroying
horrible.
stuff.
It's horrible. How much of well, isn't am I mistaken? Or I think I might have heard that Newark this year is being like officially because a lot of it was made into a golf course or something, right? At one point.
Well, it was a golf course for 100 years, and the nice thing about it is that the golf course kept it perfectly manicured. And so now they handed it over to um, some world government organization called UNESCO, um,
Oh, I
which
know
I
who you're talking about.
which I don't believe in. I mean, that's American history. That's not global history. They think for some reason that putting a title on it is going to increase the amount of people coming, which is ridiculous. It's not true. But what they did is they surrendered the rights to it to a global organization. So I'm not there. I'll be there. I'll be there for October 31 alignment at the Hinge, October 31. So I'm really interested to see if the UNESCO is mowing all of it. You know, we have sites like Mound City and in Chillicothe. In the summer, they only mow maybe 20% of it, and the rest of the grass is just left to grow. So if they do that, you're talking like a huge, we're talking a golf course here. So if parts of that are allowed just to grow 5 or 6 feet, you're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to see from one of the end of the octagon to the other. So that's what we're afraid of. It's just not going to be maintained anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Time will tell. And I wonder how much has been excavated all throughout that site over the years. Has all of it been excavated?
Well, parts of it, like the hinge, they cut into the wall, and I know somebody that knows a girl that was on the excavation from the Ohio History Connection, and part of the charcoal came back 800 BC. But because that doesn't fit the archaeologist's paradigm, who believes that 200 AD or BC was about as old as it gets, um,
Like you think it's
they
possible people in the middle of nowhere of Ohio, some ancestors have giant bones still in their like family heirlooms that they've been holding from like from stealing them long ago, from looting them?
possibly. Um, I actually
Because
am
I
in
gotta imagine
contact.
people were taking things home back in the day.
Well, sometimes they did. I mean, sometimes they would dig into it, and everybody in the town would come by and grab a bone,
Yeah.
and then it would just get, they just throw it out after a while. It was just a novelty, especially a lot of the giant skeletons. There's one case. I mean, it was a church got out and they had some food and they all went to the mound and the men all had shovels and started digging into this thing, found a big skeleton, and I don't know, everybody took an arm or a
It's
leg.
so morbid. I mean, not to mention that these sites, I mean, obviously, let's talk about this for let's get a little bit deeper into. Obviously, if you have sites that are have sacred geometry alignments, archaeoastronomy alignments, and this just incredible incredible architecture and some of the just and what they're doing obviously is probably sealed with some deep magic as well. So messing with it is going to unleash something as well. And that whole area has been plagued with floods and curses and all sorts of things over the years, right?
The most giant, along with there's and about 10 hinges in Athens County, Ohio, but the most giants, most mounds is in that county. And just by chance, it's the most depressed. It's the poorest county in Ohio,
There you go.
like highest in drug rate, highest in suicides, poorest county.
Wow.
And they're
That's not by
in
mistake.
in Nephilim Chronicles, a travel guide to the ancient ruins, where I went to 700 mound and earthwork sites. It's 12 years on the road. And I have like the biggest collection of burial mound and earthwork sites, you
So
can
have
get.
you have an experience with certain entities at this site? Because I know just at me, I've experienced some dark stuff at certain places over the years, even in woods.
Yes. And in the book of Enoch, it foretells that the giant, that their spirits would be earthbound.
Yeah, and that they'll never sleep and they'll never rest. They're not allowed
Yes.
into
So,
heaven.
so the burial mound is the resting place. And the burial mound was really made as a portal to connect the living with the dead.
Oh, I
But those
agree.
dead are still there,
Wow.
and their spirits are confined to earth.
Wow.
So
So you said yes. Would you be kind enough to share of us a little personal experience, if that's okay, at some of these sites, as much as you'd like to share. You don't have to go too depth if it's too personal.
well, uh, I have something I started called Ancient Paranormal, and last year we'd gone to about 4 sites. So I have everything. I got SLS. That's little laser beams that come out, and if there's something there, it'll make a pattern, kind of like a stick figure. We have those. We have REM pods, EMF. I don't know. I just about have everything possible. Now, what we found was that at the earthworks, if you go inside of them, nothing happens. But there's all these spirits on the outside. So you go to the outside, you think you go inside, that's where everything would happen. But it's on the outside. It's like the inside is pure. They can't go in there, but they lurk on the outside. So we'd be inside and we'd come outside. And that's when we would start getting, we got some really good EVPs.
That's incredible.
And yeah, right out of nowhere. I mean, just no way that it was any kind of contamination or anything. Put it to 100 different languages trying to figure out what this thing was saying. And I had Hebrew, but um, the Reiki Meister that I deal with, she thought it was Aramaic, which would be something that the giants might be speaking. And so we were not able to decipher them, and we just don't think that our language uh, decoder is set up for Aramaic.
Did it
But
sound
it is
almost like a gibberish?
no, it was like six definite vowels,
Oh,
and with
I
some
wonder if it
inflection.
almost sounded like an archaic Sanskrit,
Yeah, it was.
like an
We had heard.
archaic Aryan dialect.
Yeah, we had another one, and we thought maybe a few of the words were Aramaic. We were trying to pick them ourselves, and we thought, oh, I mean, it could be. It would line up because one of the things that I don't use is like an obvious, and I didn't. I don't know that I'll add it this next year, but they're not speaking English, and an obvious is set up for English, so I don't know if they can do that. But some of the gear that you have where they have to, well, we believe a spirit can manipulate this. It's like, how? You know? I mean, it comes out through words that you can vaguely associate to whatever you're doing, But it didn't make sense that if we're talking to people that are going to be either speaking ancient Semitic, Aramaic, something like that, is going to be able to manipulate this, ovulus that has English words in it without it coming out. So that's one of the things I didn't use, but things like testing electromagnetic fluctuations, that's something that actually can be tested. I think the SLS, and we've gotten some things on that are a little scary. Yeah, there are entities, we're picking up. So we've used that. Like I said, the you know, voices. So
Yeah, I would
I
assume those places would be guarded more than the average megalithic site.
well, yeah, they would be, and the circle and the square was to transform the material into the spiritual.
You're messing with some
This was
dangerous
actually a
stuff going
spot where
there.
they wanted to conjure the dead,
Yeah.
wanted to bring that over to the other side. I mean, that's what the whole complex was built for. So to think that there wouldn't be paranormal activity at these sites, opposed to, you know, these paranormal hunters. I mean, they go into an old folks home, that's abandoned, or a school.
Yeah,
And
it's very dangerous to be doing that. It's like challenging energies that you really don't understand.
well, here's the thing. I've been doing this for 30 years and I've been to 700 sites and I've seen some things. I've seen shadow people up at Fort Hill
Yeah.
and I've been around it and I've never been hurt. I
Have you,
do.
you're not really taunting it though. Really, right?
I try not to
Yeah. It's one thing to
conjure, but
investigate, you know.
more so observe,
Yeah.
but not out there like commanding it to do things or anything like that.
We're
No,
challenging it.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
You
that's what I
wouldn't do.
mean. A lot of them that go there and start challenging things, and that's very
No,
dangerous.
it would be very dangerous.
Yes, I
Very
agree.
dangerous to do. But I've been to all these sites so many times. I think they know who I am.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they know
And
before you even get there that you're on your way.
so me observing, we've been getting a lot of stuff, but try to stay back. Now, the Reiki master, I film her, and she may be asking some questions, but me personally, I don't. But she does that. But I mean, she's like a bug light summer. I mean, things are really attracted to her. And then she's been able to intuitively tell me some things about the sites that I don't let her know everything that's there.
Yeah,
And she's picked up on it. So, I went in with that with a little bit of trepidation. I think a
I do
lot of
similar
people
work.
call themselves mediums or whatever. I think a small fraction of them are. So I was lucky. Um,
Yeah, there's some real ones, but there's very few of us.
yes,
I
exactly.
agree. There's 95% of the people out there are are really full of it, actually.
I agree. And so, but I know that they're there just from personal experience.
Yeah.
And then to have somebody that they're attracted to, that, she's like a light in their darkness.
Hmm.
So they'll come through and yeah, I'm 6 feet back with a camera. But it's been interesting. And we just got started on it. And then we hit January last year. It was the coldest January in 30 years. And then February hit, and then March was busy with our own stuff, and then all of a sudden April, see, stuff starts growing up in April, and doing the mounds is a winter thing. If you go in the summer and stuff's overgrown and that, I mean, you can't film it, when everything's grown up. So, our season for doing mounds is mid-November to maybe like the first week of May when you try to get it in. So we're about to go out. I mean, I'm going to go out October 31st for the alignment, and then we should be about second week in November. We should have a freeze by then, and then we'll start going out. And we'll be doing these paranormal investigations. We'll be the first actual paranormal team to document the ancient world.
Cool. Well, maybe we can have you back on too when you after you do some of those things. So there's like one called Chillicothe or something.
Chillicothe, yeah.
Chillicothe, and then in a Circleville, I knew about as well. Circleville is the only one that I actually visited like a long time ago, and so can we get into about the Circleville and Chillicothe? Those two?
Well, Circleville is named Circleville because it was a circular earthwork
Yeah.
attached to a square. There again, I think both the circle and the square was equal areas, but the circle, to show you how big this is, the town circle, that's what that was built around.
Wow.
So the center of town, the circle drive, was the earthwork itself, which of course
It's a
they destroyed. And then they destroyed the square. And then they decided they didn't like the circle anymore. So now it's all just a grid. So it's all, and that was Circleville, also a large skeleton found there, geometric earthwork. But it's really Chillicothe is if there was going to be a capital city of the mound builders of West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, it's Chillicothe because there's five geometric earthworks that are all the same dimensions, and that is a square that is you might be able to find one of these Chillicothe earthworks. It's a square 1080 on each side. Here again, 1080, that's the Babylonian gematria number for the Earth or lunar mother. So a square, 1080 feet on each side, and then a circle, kind of a join to that was 1720 feet in diameter, and then a square, another smaller square, usually 800 foot. Um, but they were all the same, these massive earthworks, and they built five.
That
And the
location is where they found skeletons and armor and stuff like that, right?
yeah, I think that was the Baum Works, and that's one of the circles with in the 1080 square. And there's a couple hinge complexes there, and Chillicothe, some really big mounds going, 50, 60 foot in height. I think there's two of those. But just the geometric earthworks that are there shows the just the importance of mathematics
Yeah. And
and
do you
sacred
think that
geometry.
do you think they're connected to like the geomagnetic field lines that run through the Earth and like that and that extend out of Earth and that ultimately communicate with the sun?
Yes,
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
think there's that was important to them. The Serpent Mound is built on the
Wow. Yeah. Let's get into that. I forgot. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
edge
I wasn't
of
even. Damn. I didn't even bring that up.
a
Yeah.
meteor that hit 250 million years ago. So there's a stone called iridium that's kind of part of that impact that's in the Serpent Mound.
Like a
And
Bethel stone.
it's on the edge of the crater, but
A
there's
Bethel
also a
stone.
fault line that was created by the impact that runs right under the Serpent Mound. So if you go to the Serpent Mound, your car may not start because it'll mess with the electronics. It can do things to a compass. Um, Back in the day, my latest book is Ancient America, The Dark Side, where I get into the paranormal and all the on the mounds. But there used to be passenger pigeons by the millions. They would migrate every year. They would turn the sky dark. There was so many millions of them, but they would come and they'd fly over the Serpent Mound, and then they would just circle because the electronics anomalies in the ground messed with that little thing in their brain that helps them navigate. So that would have been something to see. And that was something probably was happening 2,500 years ago when they built the Serpent Mound. That for some reason, the migration of these millions of birds, they would fly around and around. They couldn't get around this impact crater until I guess eventually one broke out. Maybe they followed him, but for a while the sky would just be turned black by these millions of passenger pigeons. You just couldn't get by the Serpent Mound.
Yeah, it's probably because of the magnetic properties of it, and they have,
It
they
was.
follow magnetic field lines. They have magnetite in their brains, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. The magnetite and this anomaly at the ground level would mess with that.
That's incredible.
So
That's
there were
incredible.
some tales to the ancients that they just didn't build it there and just happened to be that they knew about the electronic anomalies and that would make that even more spiritual and make it a charged site
Well,
for
do you think it was aligned with Draco? Because that would make it like 5,000 years old if they did it for like when Draco was the pole star. Or if
um
I might be calculating that wrong. I might be wrong about that. I'm not sure.
no, I hear that sometimes, but in the last 2,000 years, we're still following the same North Star. There is a Draco alignment at Fort Ancient, so they were doing it, but I don't think it's skewed off enough to go that I don't know how many thousands of years
Yeah.
where it changes, but it's quite a few years. So no, we wouldn't be looking at a different star as the North Star than what we have right now, and we can still use alignments now. Fomalhaut and Regal, all the big boys. I mean, they're all being lined up in these earthworks in the Ohio Valley.
That's incredible. How far is where the Mothman sightings were from a lot of these earthworks? I know there's earthworks all over the area, but how far is it? Is it like what, an hour drive maybe?
From Chillicothe to Athens, probably yeah, about an hour, or
Point
Point
Pleasant
Pleasant.
or
Yeah,
Parkersburg?
yeah, because see, that's on the Ohio River, and on the other side is Ohio. Point Pleasant's in West Virginia. It's just on the other east side of the Ohio River, and then Point Pleasant sits at the mouth of the Kanawha River. Now, an interesting thing about the Kanawha in that area is Native Americans never lived in West Virginia. They were terrified of it. It was haunted.
Huh.
So you don't go back and say, oh, they don't have like Shawnee days in whatever town, West Virginia, because they never lived there. They were
Where
scared
was
of it.
that guy Chief Cornstalk from?
He was right there in Point Pleasant, but he's right there on the edge. And
Wow.
go across in Ohio, but he wasn't deep into West Virginia. And he was there because they were fighting over that land with
Did,
settlers.
did he ever make comments about where these mounds, who made these mounds?
Yes, he did. He said that long ago there was a people of light complexion that
See,
had
yeah,
built
wow. So,
all.
so he wasn't claiming that the natives made it. Wow.
No, he said just the opposite. He
Yeah,
also
wow.
said that all that was there when the Shawnee arrived. Now, revisionist Shawnee are now saying they built the serpent.
Yeah, I think it's only the modern ones that are saying it because it's for financial reasons nowadays. They want, yeah,
They're
yeah.
claiming it. However, there is one. There's I can't think of his name, but he's Shawnee, and he's saying no, that's not true. If you look back, well, Cornstalk said that. Joseph Brant of Mohawk, he said there was a persistent legend amongst all the tribes east of the Mississippi that long ago people came from the east and made trading houses, which is probably the copper coming out of Isle Royal, some other things, and that they were the ones that built the earthworks and mounds in that region, the Ohio Valley.
Very
And
interesting.
but that's what he said. And there's probably 20, and in the Nephilim Chronicles, I think I have like 20 different Indian legends, and they all talk about the same thing. There was large people, they were light complected, they came from the east, they came over and did this. Now, Native Americans, the Dakota Sioux, also say that they were in the Ohio Valley. And since we have the Adena, which are the Amorites, and we also have Hopewell, which are Dakota Sioux. It's interesting the Dakota are tall. When George Catlin met the Mandan Indians for the first time, he said that many of them had red hair, blonde hair, green eyes, and blue eyes.
Like King Og.
Well, what's interesting about that is one, it's not prismatic. I mean, I don't hate hearing of that because I mean, the whole genetic makeup of the tribe had changed because you can't have blonde hair or red hair unless your mother and father are carrying that gene. And they had it out there. And that was kind of the people that are claiming they were in the Ohio Valley. They would have been then part of the Hopewell Mound Builders, but they were still carrying that gene with them. You know, we're talking, all of it ends about 500 AD. So, 1,000 years. And that was their history that they were there, they were part of that. So it's not saying that it was all light skinned people because they in themselves didn't do it, because there was also the Dakota Sioux down there. And then they left the Ohio Valley because the Algonquins came down. And the Dakota Sioux got pushed off to Kansas, which is one of the tribes, the Akancia, another Arkansas, another Dakota Sioux tribe. So that whole area through there where we're going to find the platform mounts, which is like part three of the story, is Mississippian area. So we have Cahokia,
Yeah.
Etowah,
So,
one in Arkansas, all those platform mounts, that's all Dakota Sioux.
well, so would it be fair to say that history needs to be rewritten basically, and the tribes that we would call the Nephilim offspring tribes, like all these Amorites, the Rephaim, all these tribes that we obviously know made it to America and were probably all over the world at different times. But would it be fair to say that they were the original Aboriginal tribes of this land?
No, they weren't the first.
Maybe not the first, but the ones that the established these earthworks and a lot of the
Yes,
stone
yes,
temples that we have
yes,
nowadays.
yes. That's all Babylonian sacred geometry, Babylonian mathematics. I mean, look, we have the Newick earthworks, and they've been studied. This is, in one of the documentaries with L.A. Marzulli, is that he said just laying out Newark, they had to know trigonometry. Um, if you go from the middle of the octagon to the middle of the hinge to Geller Hill, which is like the highest point, you get a perfect isosceles triangle over 2 miles in length. That means they had to survey. And we know the Amorites were surveyors. And why were they surveyors? Because people were buying land. And when you buy land, you have to have somebody be able to survey it from this line to this line. And so they were surveyors, and they brought those skills over in setting up the mounds and earthworks as well. So we have surveying skills, we have trigonometry, we have sacred geometry, we have pi, we have square roots of numbers, we have circles and squares being mathematically harmonic, either in equal areas or the circumference matching the sum total of the sides.
So
And all this going on.
would you say that maybe that all came from a Neanderthal, sort of mixing with what we call in Italian the Gregorio or the fallen angel DNA? That would they you think that they sort of mixed with different tribes on Earth and that's what made this
Yes,
this whole new tribe?
yes. And that is why, again, the Encyclopedia of Ancient Giants and the Nephilim Chronicles as well, we're going to see these skulls with the protruding brow ridge, sloped forehead, massive jaws, 2 rows of teeth, because they're just genetic anomalies. The genes aren't knowing what to do.
But
So
no
things,
Neanderthal was making stone temples that had archaeoastronomy limits.
well, they're not necessarily Neanderthals, but they look like Neanderthals, but it's only because they're a hybrid race. Even Josephus in the second century BC, when he was in the biblical lands, he had seen some of the skeletal remains of the giants, and he said that their countenance or their faces were different than those of modern men. So there is a firsthand report, and then just the hundreds and hundreds of different giants, and they all have this same anomaly where they look more Neanderthal than modern. Then with the double row teeth, some had horns sticking out of their heads.
You think some of
Uh,
them look like acromegaly type face?
um, Not really, because most of that is a flat face, and these they have this.
That ridge, yeah. Or
They
you know
have the
how it like the
ridge, and they have
acromegaly
the.
has that like squished face and it has that ridge sometimes, like with the squished.
Yeah, it's a. Now some of the skulls are not all like that, but there's a people in England called the Beaker people.
Wow.
That's a science name, but the Beaker people built Stonehenge. The burial mounds, the conical burial mounds, they have ditches around them. Well, we also have conical mounds with ditches around them in the Ohio Valley. Generally, the biggest mounds are the ones with the ditches in them. But the skull types of the Beaker people are identical to those of the Ohio Valley. It
You
was,
think those are related to like the Tuatha Danann and the Fomorians and those types of
yes.
things from yeah.
Well, Fomorians, just the name is Mor. Whenever you see an Mor, that's Moro, Muru, Amorite.
Wow,
So
yeah,
if
that
you
you
ever
know
see,
that's my mother's maiden name is from Sicily, is Moro, Di Moro, and it means of the Moors or of the dark in Italian. Yeah.
well, Carthage originally there was a Stonehenge in Libya in that whole area, but that was first taken over by the giants. So there's all sorts of ancient. Well, there's one. It looks like Stonehenge. I mean, it has the monoliths, the
Yeah.
trilobon.
I wonder if the
Uh,
Amorites is related to like the word Amon or Adon or Aton, the sun, like,
well, Morocco is the name. The root word is Moro or Muru.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's from the Amorites.
Wow, I didn't even put that connection with the Amorites. That's amazing, Fritz. Thank you for that. That's incredible.
Well, well, all of etymology is in Nephilim Chronicles Fallen Angels. That's where I get into etymology and
I'm definitely
uh,
gonna pick that
more
up.
more roots, more root names, and Og root names that are everywhere. Interesting enough, Og in Hebrew meant chief, and in
Book. Yeah.
almost every tribe east of the Mississippi, Og was also their name for chief.
Yeah, supposedly he was buried in the Golan Heights where the Gilgal Raphaim stone circle was.
Well, the whole biblical area that there's a book called Biblical Archaeology that was done in about 1905, and this is when guys
Yeah,
were going over there and reporting on this.
I have
But
many of them. Uh,
um, but
did you have
Minners,
like some of the
Minners,
transactions of the biblical archaeology, the Society of Biblical Archaeology?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was my literal Bible when I was doing research for the Nephilim Chronicles, and finding so many similarities in
There
stone
are hundreds of
circles and that
pages.
they
You got
people
that,
always
and they,
say
they also publish like records of the past and all of that with it.
yeah, there was I don't know if that's it, but I know the one I had was probably about 350 pages, but there was also a lot of photographs of what they had done of the stone mounds, miners, stone circles. People say like, well, we don't know that much about the megalithic era, and it's like, just read a Bible. They talk
Yeah.
about it. That was the religion back then. That was the corrupt religion that God was saying he didn't want them to be practicing, but they were anyway. But when you ever see a circle of stones to represent the 12 tribes of uh, Israel, that's a solar calendar. Whenever you see the word 12 or the number 12,
Yeah.
think that's Babylonian, because it was the Babylonians that came up with the astrology based on the 12 um, areas or whatever of the solar year. So in the Bible, when you see things with 12 in it, it's like, okay, this is influence. And the Bible was influenced by the Amorites and the Babylonian tales of the flood came from that. Uh, Story of Adam came from there. So I mean, even the Bible is really heavily influenced by the Babylonians. But it does give us insight into the megalithic era of worshiping pillars of what was Joshua and the pillar of stone. Yeah, total megalithic.
Yeah, here's one I'll show you. This is let me share a screen real quick before I let you go. I know you got to go in a minute. So this is the Golan Heights stone circle, and they have hundreds of dolmens in that area in Golan Heights.
Yeah,
Th-
absolutely.
and this is a solar wheel in Greece. It's the same thing. It's a solar wheel. They're communicating with what's coming from the sun. It's a portal from the sun to Earth,
Yep.
and they're bringing beings of light, plasma, right into this dimension, right there.
Now
It's that's
there's an earthwork, a circle in across the river of the Ohio, in Kentucky, and it's that exact same shape, only there's a mound in the middle of it. But it's
wow.
concentric circles. I think it's five concentric circles.
And when you're on the ground in Golan Heights, it looks like just a pile of rubble. It doesn't look like anything until you get a bird's eye view, and you're like, "Whoa, this is massive."
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get up on the site, then you see the stairs and the mathematical. But when you're like on ground level and a little far away from it, you're just looking like you're walking past a pile of stone rubble. But when you get up on it, you could tell there's mathematical everything going on. But then you don't realize the structure of it until you get a bird's eye view. It's
Well,
really
now see,
incredible.
that's what ties this to the Ohio Valley because here you have these geometric shapes. And I was saying, at Newark, you have a golf course in the middle of this. You don't appreciate what you're looking at from ground. From above, you see this circle in this perfect octagon that's aligned to 8 different lunar standstills in an 18-year
Yeah.
period.
Well,
Every
this
one of
this
the
site too.
gateways is blind.
Yeah. This site
But
too has the solstice alignment. Yep.
you can't tell all these geometric earthworks unless you look at them from the air. So they
Wow.
were never built for people on the ground. They were built for sky beings,
So
for
crazy.
them
It's
to
incredible.
appreciate.
Yep, it's incredible. Yeah, and at that site in the Golan Heights, it's the same thing. And there's spots where you can climb down in, and there's tombs, 3 meters, 3 meter tombs that are empty now, of course. But
And you don't appreciate it. Like when you show that picture of it, you don't appreciate unless you're there and you probably
yeah,
see how big it is.
oh for
Because
sure.
the photo just doesn't do it justice. Like looking at this thing of the Newark earthworks, and he's like, okay, there's a circle and octagon, there's a
Yeah,
down here.
yeah.
But yeah, when
And
you
you get
see
there, and it's
how
it's
big,
5 ball fields wide.
yeah, exactly, how big it is. But that idea there in Gaza came here. Those ideas, those peoples came here. And that's the big resistance with academia because they don't want that to happen. Now they have the Ohio Historical Connection has admitted that at Newark they were using Pythagorean triangles. They admitted they knew trigonometry, but they say it was one Native American that was smarter than any of the rest, and he's the one that built those over a span of like 50 years, even though they said they were all built like over hundreds of years. They weren't built right away. It took a while to build them. Well, I mean, at Newark, it took 18 years just for the alignments. And then what do you do when you have a cloudy day? On that day where that alignment's going to show up, that solar or lunar standstill, if it's cloudy, you got to wait 18 years for it to happen. So you can believe what you want to believe, but all the mathematics that are being used by that, in conjunction with the sacred geometry, in conjunction with the measure that matches up with an ancient numerical codex called gematria. It's a lot of similarities to say that it's anything but, a people, and this was their religion.
You,
based
you
off.
think you think it's possible that the military is looking to bring these sites like back online, so to say, to re-bring these manifestations back into this world of these beings once again,
Oh, who
or
knows?
flood the world with elementals or types of? Because I truly believe these structures is how fairies and different types of beings emerge into this physical dimension. They're emerging
Exactly.
from these structures.
Well, you mentioned the Tuatha. Now, the Tuatha came to Scotland, right? On May 1. That specific date, May 1, Beltane.
Yeah,
Then,
yeah. The Danu, all, yeah, yep,
right. And then the Tuatha believed that, well, you had the Fomorians who were, sea people, that's the Amorites. The
yeah.
Tuatha
You ever see
say,
what they have written about the Fomorians? It says just the mention of their name would make people like wet themselves and
yeah, yeah, they were the giants. But
yeah,
see, the Tuatha were of that same bloodline, I believe. Just the fact they came May 1. And then their spirits just decided to reside in the mountains where they would manifest sometimes as fairies. Now, isn't it interesting that at Mound State Park, where there's a hinge complex, they have the locals there. I interviewed some of them in my book, Ancient America, The Dark Side, of that. And even a park ranger went on record saying that he saw little entities running around. And I talked to a lady that said she had a little entity in her yard and called the cops, and then she felt like an idiot. It's like, it left, and like, what? She's like, what am I going to tell them? Um, but
yeah. Sometimes
but
if you're
yeah,
bad to those type of beings, they'll put curses on your bloodline and stuff.
she was emphatic that she saw it. When I interviewed her, and and as we have the park ranger, he's seen it. So yeah, you have fairies, you have these manifestations of shadow. Um, I interviewed like four people that saw different kinds of cryptids, and then we have something which you mentioned before. I'll talk about this real quick before I go.
Yeah,
Is Mothman. Now, Mothman, the Native Americans talked about that, but they called him Piasu. Piasu,
yeah,
Piasu. However, there was also in Babylon a dog-faced winged creature. His name was Pazuzu.
yeah. The
You
Zuzu
ever
is
seen
Sumerian too. Yeah, the zoo bird.
you've
Yeah.
seen the you've seen The Exorcist.
Yeah, the Exorcist movie is the same thing. Yeah, yep. That's very
Well,
interesting.
so the Native Americans call it Piasu,
That
and the
doll. Yeah, that
Babylonians are
Sumerian
calling it,
doll. Yeah.
and they're calling it Pazuzu, a dog-faced, red-eyed
Well, I always
winged.
speculated that it was possible that Mothman was conjured at one of these locations.
Could have been. I mean, he's right there. So
Even
you
if it was
have
long
that,
ago and it's just been somewhere hiding out, and just comes out certain times.
and you know what the Shawnee called the Kanawha River,
No.
which is right there, mouth of the Kanawha. There's Point Pleasant, right there's all the Mothman stuff. They called the Kanawha the River of Evil Spirits.
Wow. Wow.
So this all has a legacy, and that's one of the reasons they didn't live there.
Yeah, there's legends like where I live on the Hudson River right here. There's legends all going out this area too of things like that. It's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it all there's a lot of crazy coincidences. Piasu, Pazuzu. We're
Yeah, that's
talking
very
about,
interesting. And the
and
Mothman, now that you're talking about it, it does look just like that doll from even from the movie,
yeah,
you know?
and
Yeah.
it's creepy. You get on that bridge and you cross the Ohio River, and movies like the because I mean that just the feeling of when she was across the river into West Virginia, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh wow, yeah.
So where he's living is right across the river. That's
That's that
that's
same
what it.
area too in that movie. That's crazy. Yeah.
And
That's a creepy movie.
you travel down the Ohio River either on the Ohio side or the West Virginia side. There's a road follows the Ohio River. There's no gas stations from like there's no mobile stations. I mean, everything's a local gas station. There's nothing corporate.
Wow.
There's no Wendy's, there's no McDonald's, there's no
Better off.
Walmart's, there's nothing. It's all local and it's all super poor. Either that or you'll have this huge like manufacturing, some chemical plant or something. You go buy that and then buy some poorhouses.
Not somewhere you're supposed to be unless you belong.
That's where Charlie Manson was raised.
Wow. That
Yeah,
figures.
right there on the high road. It's just poverty. It's poverty. And it's a different vibe. I mean, you drive down there, you stop to get gas. People are like, "Yeah, you don't belong here. You don't
Yeah,
live
no,
here."
I've seen poverty. I know. I mean, I've been to the favelas in Brazil, so I know I've seen some bad poverty. They don't even have running water. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah, this is American poverty. That's Brazil. Oh yeah, you get it.
yeah. Just American poverty is pretty bad
American
though, too.
poverty is you don't have cable TV,
Yeah, yeah.
or internet.
Shut up, hey.
You
Oh
got a
yeah,
car,
this
it's just a crappy.
yeah, incredible. That's a scary area. That area is a scary area.
It is when you get in
General.
there, it's like, oh my God, I was talking to some people and they were from around the Grave Creek Mounds. That's where the large mound is. Giants were there.
I mean, they're essentially similar to tumulus structures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's generally a lot of them had large skeletons in them. So then you're dealing with the spirit realm. Now, so far, what we have not had much luck at burial mounds in our paranormal sites, which you would think they were. Could have been time of year, maybe a time. I don't know. We didn't have we're getting a lot of stuff out of Earthworks. But they're there because I know I've been with enough people that if you're around a burial mound that's active and charged, you'll feel it. You don't necessarily even have to be a sensitive or a psychic or something like that, but it'll mess with kind of your magnetism in your body or whatever. You'll feel it. You'll feel it. Something's off. Um, but
Have
yeah,
anybody, has anybody that you worked with ever taken home anything from there and experienced bad things because of it?
um, we were in the hotel after a day of investigating, and the SLS was picking up entities in the hotel room of the Reiki master. Um,
Would he keep one of the little rock or something from the ground
no, 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 no.
oh, he was doing energy work there.
Yeah. But no, you never take anything. You never
Yeah, I
put it
wouldn't at
on.
all. That's
No, no,
dangerous.
no. But she, I was down in my room. She called and she's like, I think there's something in my room. I said, well, let me bring the SLS. Let me bring some equipment down there. And yeah, there was something. It stood on the sofa in that room. And then it got big and then it started extending across the ceiling. Then that disappeared. And she was sitting on the ground. Then it appeared next to her.
Whoa.
Then it appeared in her.
Whoa.
Because a human will show up blue and an entity green. It moved over into her back until she turned green. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
it was basically inside of her. And I broke. And I said, hey, that's like inside of you.
Damn.
Um, so yes. And now I was asking her, I go, well, does this thing follow us back? And she goes, no, because where the hotel is, we stay. It's right there. It's in Cherry Valley in Newark. And um, there was a village where this hotel was. And she said that this was transient. She said, it was in my room, but she said, in 5 minutes, it'll be two doors down and five doors down and across. And it's like, it's moving all around. So she was saying that it had not followed us, which it was somewhat comforting. So yeah, we're gonna go back there soon, and we'll do that again. Um, but yeah, it's a spiritual world. It's part of the ancient sites. I just wanted to get some evidence of that so people are aware of it. I mean, you can either arm yourself and do what you want to do, uh, but we're looking this year to get evidence of the paranormal activity at the different earthworks and various events. So with that, I'm gonna have to break here. Okay, did I lose you?
My back?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I lost service.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just ended my little spiel and it's like, okay, well, I said I'll probably break here and
We'll close it up
then,
for we'll close it. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. Would you be open to coming back on in a couple of months?
Sure. Well, I've got another book coming out, Destination Macabre, an Eerie Historic Guide to Indiana, and that's coming out in mid-November. So I'll be promoting that.
Okay. We'll have you back on then.
Okay.
In November. That'd be great.
Okay. Send me an
Thank you.